Let's bring in a couple of former acting ICE directors, Holtzman Vogel partner Jonathan Fahey and former Border Patrol Deputy Commissioner Ron Vitiello. Guys, great to have you with us. I want to share this. This is Bill Asaley talking about, first of all, the Alameda driver, but also what happened over in L.A., another ramming incident. I'm going to play this sound, get your reaction on the other side.
They're looking at some very serious charges. 18 U.S.C. 111 is assault on federal agents, and if you use a deadly weapon to commit that, like a vehicle, you're looking at 20 years in federal prison. I charged that just this week, Laura. We had an illegal alien floor his car at our agents here, and they had to shoot him. So not only are you facing charges, but you might get shot and killed. This is very serious stuff.
Yeah, very serious stuff indeed, Jonathan. And it bothers me greatly because these guys are just out there trying to do their job, and you're basically running into a circumstance where you have someone who is absolutely nuts and lucky they weren't killed.
Right, and we're seeing more of these, and it seems, I don't know if they're copycat or whatever, but these agents are in danger, and a car is a deadly weapon, and any one of these agents could get hurt or killed, or even a member of the public. So it's very good that they're charging them, and the good thing about this is they're charged with a violent felony, so they're not going to do time in a club fed. They're going to go to a real pen, and they deserve to.
Yeah, no trips to Butner. What do you think about what Bill had to say there, Ron? I mean, I'm fired up about this because it really, really bothers me. It's not just sort of, and I think you hit the nail on the head, possibly, Jonathan. This could be a copycat circumstance, and people should respect what they're trying to do. You can protest, but if you start putting yourself in harm's way or others, they're lucky they didn't just empty their clips on this guy.
No, that's absolutely right. The men and women that are out there trying to protect us are doing exactly that. They're doing their jobs.
Yeah.
They swore an oath to protect us, to protect the Constitution, and they don't deserve this kind of treatment. I am grateful that the interagency, including the Department of Justice, that U.S. attorney among them, is going to charge these folks. There's no question about that. Jonathan can tell you that previously in my career, assaults against federal agents, it required someone to get brutally hurt.
Yeah.
And that's not the case now. Right now, we are committed to getting this work done, and when people cross the line, they're going to pay for it.
Speaking of crossing the line, what's been happening in the great state of California, and I know it's got its problems, it's still an amazing place, with these CDL licenses, these commercial driver's licenses, is just an absolute outrage. Let me share this statement. This is from Transportation. Gavin Newsom was explicitly warned California's CDL program was dangerously broken. The U.S. Department of Transportation's emergency rule was issued to explicitly prevent drivers like Singh, we're going to talk about him in just a second, from getting behind the wheel of a commercial motor vehicle. If California had complied with the Secretary's emergency rule and prevented the upgrade of this individual's driving privileges earlier this month, he would never have been able to get behind his big rig. Singh, of course, the gentleman, the man who killed a bunch of people, apparently inebriated behind the wheel and just slaughtered innocent people there with his big rig. I think the state of California is in big trouble here, and maybe even the governor himself.
Yeah, this is really, it's horrific. And when you look at these, when you see something that was so clearly preventable that wasn't prevented, and really because of politics and Gavin Newsom, I mean, this really was an instance of Biden's open borders colliding with the sanctuary state of California. And in California, they always put illegal aliens ahead of American citizens and ahead of public safety. And now we have 3 more dead people, just like we did maybe a month or so ago in Florida from another person. And they were warned, but they don't seem to care at all, and they don't seem to be willing to change.
What the hell are they thinking over there?
Well, that's the key, right? They prefer this chaos over controlling at the border. The governor was on notice. We know that this is a problem. People that don't speak English, that don't know the rules of the road, and they're out there driving these large vehicles that we all depend on, right? Those trucks have to move, but we don't have to have this kind of chaos on the streets and the highways of America.
Let me ask you both, in the time we have left, about, again, the president is trying to do all he can to improve the condition for those who live in the great state of Illinois. He's facing a recalcitrant leadership there, both Brandon Johnson and the city of Chicago, and of course Governor Pritzker. 15 seconds each. Do you think we get to a place where the president and this administration will be able to help the people who are suffering in Chicago? And I can speak for a lot of the people in the South Side who will tell you point blank, yes, we'll take all the help we can get.
Well, he's already proven he can help make streets safer again, right? Right here in D.C., where we are, Los Angeles, Chicago as well. Those leaders are empowering the cartels. They're empowering human traffickers. They're empowering illegal activity on their streets. The front line is being empowered by this president. The policies are empowering them to do their job and make the rest of the city safe.
15 seconds.
The president will help, and the people of Chicago will be better off because of it, but he will not get any help from Governor Pritzker, who's putting his presidential ambitions ahead of the safety of Illinois citizens. And to be successful in the Democratic nomination in 2028, you have to oppose Trump at all costs, and you have to be in favor of open borders, and that's what he is.
At all costs, and it's costing a lot of innocent people. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time tonight. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.